Hey Megan, how you doing? Okay, just want to address your writing here real quick. Um, so I ran out of ink in my printer. So one thing I would recommend is this: if you have half a chance, try to get this printed at a Kinko's or FedEx or a CopyMax or something like that, where they have high-end digital machines. And the reason I say that, and I always print my mock-ups at through Kinko's, and the reason I say that is because um, our 150, 200, $300, even a high-end home printer does not have the capabilities of the 15 or $18,000 digital printers that they use at Kinko's. They just can't compete. You can get some pretty darn good results from those machines at Kinko's. Some amazing results. So my recommendation for any kind of portfolio piece that's going to be printed and photographed is to go ahead and run it at Kinko. So if you get a chance, go ahead and do that. Plus it just is going to look so much better. You can get some good paper. You'll be able to pick some good paper and et cetera. So there's a lot of benefits of having it printed at a service as opposed to printing at home. Okay, read your writing. Everything makes perfect sense here. Let's jump over to the composition, to the work. Okay, let's get started. I think it's looking really fantastic. Nice job. I was just trying to reduce this a little bit. Okay, cover looks great. One thing I would recommend on the cover is that you've got this little transparency at the bottom, and that is interfering, I think, with the type, and I think it's interfering altogether with just the framing and just the whole effect that you're shooting for on the front cover. And I think it's a great image to use. I think it really rings her personality very well. Um, Not overly flamboyant, not pretty humble as a designer, and I think that it really shows in a lot of these images. So I think that your image selection is great. You've really captured the essence of the subject. So good job there. Okay, now one thing I want to talk about is the treatment for these kind of subheads. Now I know you've made some improvements, and this is great, but there are still some inconsistencies. So bright and bubbly, early designs. Um, so right now, for example, bright and bubbly, it looks like the leading or the space between the two lines is greater here than it is here. So we come down here and here, it's consistent with this page, but again, this one seems to be off. When we come down here, career milestones, right now we can see career is larger than the word timeless. The type size seems to be a little bit bigger, maybe a point size or so. And then over here, it's a little smaller. So what you want to do is this, you want to make these completely consistent. As a matter of fact, these should be presented as paragraph styles. And what you can do is set up your type sizes and just find what is the hardest to place, which would be this one right here because it's the longest word. So get that set, okay, and then get this relationship, the leading, get this size, spatial relationship, get everything together here, set it as a paragraph style, and then place it here, here, and here, so that we have really, and here. So there's just extreme consistency in the headline presentations. Okay, I think it's really important, and this I think is really important. This again is this is an anomaly in that it's the only presentation of color, that color strip in the background. So I'm not. I would remove it personally. I think that would just to point to consistency. Another thing over here, again, so as you can see right here, remembering Kate Spade and then remembering Kate. So that is going to be your problematic area because of the word remembering is so long, Do you see what I'm saying? So establish whatever relationship it is, the point size for this, and then just duplicate it here, 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 and here. And that'll really sew things up. This thing will come together like magic doing that. The harmony is just going to ring through. Another thing I would recommend here, this one, is that this just is really almost bothersome. I would definitely present that ampersand in, I would present this in italic. Okay, so remember Kate Spade. This image right here, if you have a chance to find an image that doesn't have a watermark on it, go ahead and do it. What this is saying is that this image is being used. Now you have you credited the image, and that's great. But what I would do is I would credit the image back here in your credits page, and leave this as clean, because this could possibly send a wrong signal. And the signal this could send to a portfolio reviewer or a hiring professional when that time comes is that it's an unauthorized use of an image, and it could possibly point to a misunderstanding or a lack of knowledge of copyright infringement. And being that if an image has a watermark on it, it presumably has not been gathered in an ethical way in which you have permission to use it. I don't mean to sound discouraging at all, but we want there to be no questions that you understand how reproduction of images does have copyright associated with it. So I would try to find an image that does not have a watermark associated with it. Just credit the image right here in your credits page. Love this layout. This is fantastic. This 2-column types. This is gorgeous. Really, really good job. Really nice typesetting here. Okay, now I am, boy. So the 62, I don't know, has that been reduced in size, or it looks to me like this typeface, I'm not sure if it has old style numerals or it has open type capabilities, but it looks like it's really hard to say if those have been reduced or not. If they have, that's fantastic. If they haven't, you want to reduce your numbers by a point size. It looks like you've got, it's just really difficult for me to tell if that's been done or not. So if it has, please excuse me, but also you want those small caps too. Let me see if we have any area of small caps. I don't see any off the top here. Okay, we'll see what happens when we go through. But anyways, this 2-column spread is nice, very nicely done. You got a lot of hyphens, not overly a lot, but just enough to say, you want to pay attention to whether you want to turn your hyphens on or off as related to your kerning. I'm sorry, your rags. I think your rags could be adjusted a little bit further. I think in some areas they're really nice. In other areas, they could definitely be adjusted. I think this could be adjusted. This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good with a couple of anomalies, and the word which. Those both kind of stick out a little bit, so we want to adjust for those. These are looking pretty good here. This is the same paragraph duplicated 3 times. You don't want to do that, especially just change the wording out and use different wording, because this won't ring well with portfolio reviewers and hiring professionals, of course, when that time comes. So right here, this is a little bit unusual because this page right here, early designs, it theoretically is supposed to end here, right? But there's no period. It just stops in mid-sentence. Kate sold the remaining shares of. Kate Spade sold the remaining shares of. That line is duplicated there. So that's a little problematic right there. That should be a period. That sentence should end. There is no chance to do continued on page because there is no other page to continue that type on. So definitely want to address that. Other than that, I think looking darn good. Yeah, review that video on rags, because this angle right here could definitely be adjusted out. It's all covered in that how to adjust your rags video. Okay. All right. Other than that, I think this is coming along just beautifully. So those would be my final recommendations. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any. Oh, one more thing. I was looking for this and I just found it. These quotes right here. That quote right there and the one below it, those should be hanging quotes. Whenever you have a line that starts with a quote or punctuation, you want to hang it. It's really simple to do. You just research hanging quotations in InDesign. It's simple to do. It's a couple of clicks. And what that's going to do is it's going to take those quotes and it's going to push them out into the margin area. So we maintain this clean left margin. It's a really great technique. It's a very advanced technique and one that will get noticed. Okay, other than that, okay, you're looking great. Final recommendation is on this page right here. I would go ahead and title this page and let us know, just say references. We could bring this down a little bit or maybe even reduce the space between, and then just maybe in a oblique typeface, maybe this typeface here in this same configuration, except of course much smaller, meaning italic. Just use the word references or citations, whichever one you want. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Great job. Great start. Looking great. I shouldn't say great start because this is near completion. Just those couple of final comments and you are in. All right. Of course, any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.